welcome back to the Dropout Drop-In. On this week's episode, I am putting Jordon in the hot seat about his weekend at PAX East, which some of you in the comments may have seen that Jordon did a panel with some very special Dropout guests at PAX East. If you weren't there, you might have been following along from home like me and the rest of the internet was. You may have been on the subreddit that blew up about how great it was. We got the man of the hour here to tell us all about it. You're here every week with me, and even you bamboozled me about doing this panel. I had no idea it was happening until the public knew. So congratulations on pulling a fast one on all of Dropout Internet.
Thank you. I didn't tell anyone except for my wife. I think that may have been it. I don't know if I even told friends until it was public. It's very funny. I was in the middle of an interview with the thousands. Hey, by the way, if you're watching this and I owe you an interview, I'm so sorry. I'm trying. They're so hard to schedule. I can do like one a week at this point. It's brutal.
You're just so in demand, Jordon. You're just so in demand.
It's not that. It's that I have a full day job and a 2.5-year-old. But yeah, I was literally in the middle of one of those charity interviews, and all of a sudden, I had forgotten to put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and all of a sudden it was just like, Jordon, like all caps, and I was like, and I literally opened it, I was like, what's going on? And they're like, you don't know. And I was like, oh, I bet I do know what happened. And because I had been waiting for the news to drop for like literal, I think, well over a week. So yeah, I did an interview with Iffy probably about a month ago at this point. We talked about, like plans for Actually and stuff. And one of the things that he mentioned was he was going to take Actually to PAX East. And I said, then I'm going to go to PAX East as just like I wanted to meet him in person, and thought it would be cool. And, maybe he would want to hang out for, 5 minutes or whatever. And he was like, great. A couple days later, he did a Reddit AMA where I gave him a layup question of any plans to do anything fun outside of this AMA to promote Actually. And he was like, I think he literally said, thanks for the layup. We're going to be at PAX East. And so, yeah, then maybe a week after that, he emailed and said, do you want to moderate the panel at PAX East? And I wrote back and said, you know how you told me the saying yes to doing Actually is the fastest email you've ever sent. This is my fastest email. Yes, absolutely, 100%.
That's so great. I feel like we've learned so much about Iffy's email habits this year.
Yes.
Like, it was not on my Dropout bingo card that of all the things to learn about Iffy, someone who is very public about so much of his life, that his email sending and receiving habits would be this much on the table. But alas, here we are.
Yeah. I immediately replied, said yes, of course. I mean, what an incredible honor to even, an honor to be nominated, right? So then, at least another week went by, maybe 2, of the panel not having been announced yet on the PAX East schedule. I literally just had a tab open because PAX East, look, if you're running a convention, the staff there, absolutely incredible. I'll talk about that, but the website, my God, put some more money into your websites and your apps, people. But when you go to schedule, you can filter by letter of the panel that you want to look at, which is probably not super helpful, right? Except in this one specific case where I was filter by you. Yes, that is what I want. And I would just periodically hit refresh on that page, see that it did not say Actually yet, and be like, all right, we're just gonna keep waiting.
Keep on keeping the secret. We're gonna keep it all inside.
Yeah, I made a friends-only TikTok video where I was on the floor, which is my move for friends-only videos, where I was speaking so quickly that people couldn't understand me about how excited I was about something that was going to happen. I got several messages from people demanding to know what it was. I told none of them. And then, like I said, in the middle of an interview, I saw the panel had gotten dropped. So yeah, it was me moderating a panel with Iffy and BDG. It's very
we have to talk about something specific that happened, though, with this announcement, because there was a little bit of a, someone didn't know that you are the unofficial Dropout reporter, and it did look very much like official to Dropout Jordon Brown. So can you clarify on the record?
Look, I paid my whole way. Dropout was not involved in any bit of me attending PAX East. I think it was that Iffy wanted someone there to help, facilitate the panel. And I genuinely think it's because Iffy likes me, that he was like, Jordon can do this. And so, in the listing on PAX East, it was, I don't remember what they said. Because I know they had listed me as a content creator. But in like the parentheses, it was like, Iffy Wadiwe, host, Dropout. Brian David Gilbert, host, Dropout. And it was like Jordon Brown, I don't remember what, something, comma, Dropout as well. I still do not work for Dropout. I will say, Sam Reich texted...
Do you not speak for the brand or the company? Like, it's like, people make TikTok.
Yeah.
Sam texted you? Is that what you're about to reveal?
No. Sam texted Iffy while I was with Iffy. And said he's become, because he said, give Jordon my best to Iffy. Iffy sent him a picture of the two of us. We were sitting at a Panera Bread. You've seen the TikTok probably. Because we needed stronger Wi-Fi than what was available at the hotel. And we were all hungry. Yeah.
Such a vibe.
We needed Wi-Fi, food, and caffeinated lemonade.
Amen.
That's
how you get through a PAX East panel. That is literally the formula. Yep.
And so, so he, Sam had texted Iffy while I was sitting there, like, give Jordon my best. And Iffy sent the picture of the two of us, and Sam wrote back, getting farther and farther from unofficial every day, which is very cool and weird. But yes, there was no job offer this weekend.
Listen, closer and closer every day is pretty close to something, but I will say, according to the lore of the Dropout Drop-In, it does not matter what Sam says. It matters what Vic says. It's not until Vic declares you. It does not matter if you ever get a job offer or if you do any continued work with Dropout until the day that Vic Michaelis turns around and says, official, you will be the unofficial Dropout reporter. And vice versa. If Vic was to come on the show and say, hey, official, then that's it. Sorry, Sam, you have a new employee.
That's right.
Do you know the TikTok that's like, you're my new elite employee? That's you, the day you become official.
Yeah.
So, okay, walk me back to when you get the email from Iffy and you're in the liminal space of like one person in your personal life knows, plus Iffy and BDG. What was your mindset around framing this panel and what you could contribute to it? Because the PAX East panel is not just a convention panel. That is a huge platform. And for Iffy as the new host of I'm Actually with BDG, like this, not the stakes, but there was just so much energy going into that moment and make it public facing. So like where was your brain at, man?
Yeah. So let's clarify really quickly. If you've never been to a PAX convention, there's East, West, and Unplugged, and East and West specifically are like big video game centric conventions. Unplugged is more tabletop, hence Unplugged. But that means, holy shit, is BDG a star there. I believe it was a PAX East where he did a live Pokemon rap of the entire Pokedex. And I say I believe because I didn't know that was a thing he could do. Oh boy, were people excited about it at PAX East. I can get to that in a minute. But yeah, so I didn't know. I didn't know what the format exactly was going to be really until Saturday when we were sitting at that Panera. But like I knew like I could ask questions. That's not going to be a problem. And like I can steer us in hopefully like things that are interesting in terms of what the audience wants to hear about. And so yeah, like I had written a handful of questions. I knew if he wanted to play actually live. We ended up, but I didn't know what his plan was for that. If he and BDG were going to participate, if they were going to call on people in the audience, any of that. So we ended up having Sam, Annika, Gabe, and Jenna came up. Iffy's friends, and like they played while like Iffy read questions. BDG was sort of off at that point because they have to be far away when they're actually shooting, which is delightful. But yeah, so BDG sort of acted as fact checker, but not really, because it was questions that were either submitted from Reddit. Thank you to the two folks on Reddit who I ended up using your questions. I wrote a question myself that was super nerdy about the Silmarillion, and then that's 3 questions. And there were 3 questions that they grabbed that were unused questions from this season of actually. And it was funny because, yeah, Jenna, one of the contestants, is also a writer for actually, and one of the unused questions was one of her questions, and so they told her that she wasn't allowed to answer that one.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
that's so funny.
But yeah, so like I said, I didn't know what exactly the plan was. I also I will be entirely candid. I posted this on Reddit anyway, but like I literally reached out to Sam to be like, hey, give me some spoilers that we can throw out at like PAX East. And he was like, I talked to everybody. We don't have anything we're comfortable like sending out yet. And so I just want everyone to know, though. I tried to get you all spoilers of like upcoming things. And now they're dropping the Smarty Pants trailer this week. You could have at least told me, Sam, that the Smarty Pants trailer is coming next week. But so yeah, I'd done as much prep as I could, and then that was the prep that I was able to do.
That was the prep, and then you went for the suit. You went for the good old Sam
that.
Suit to moderate the panel. I think that's such a good choice.
I knew immediately I was gonna go full suit, especially because if he's in full suit when he is hosting. It felt like I should be in full suit to moderate. And I also... So I own the Game Changer Brooks that aren't actually in any way affiliated with Game Changer. And I wear them constantly. So they're real beat up. And so I got on Brooks and I was like, I'm going to buy a new pair just to wear on stage. And they don't sell them anymore. So I found a third-party website that still had my size. It was like the 3rd or 4th website that I had checked. Because every place I went just didn't have my size anymore. So I ordered a crystal clean pair of the Brooks Game Changers that I had in my backpack that I swapped out with my other Game Changer shoes right before I went on stage, and then changed again right after I got off stage. So,
oh my god, you're gonna have to put the new pair on a shelf and be like, these shoes are only for official Dropout work.
Yeah, those are my con shoes. That's it. Yeah.
That's it. On stage only shoes. Mm-hmm. I respect that. I really do. The dedication to the brand, thriving.
Look, we love to commit to a bit here.
It's kind of the whole point. It's kind of the whole thing. Walk me through meeting Iffy and BDG for the first time. I did see the morning of the panel that BDG posted an Instagram story, something to the effect of like, off my 4 a.m. flight, like just bus club, another club energy straight to the con. So walk me through, did you meet at the Panera Bread for the first time?
I went over to Iffy's hotel. BDG was hanging out in his room because he couldn't check into his own room yet because it was so early still. BDG took the red eye out, so he hadn't slept for like 24 solid hours because he couldn't sleep on the plane. Because same thing that I discovered. I'm too old to do the bend forward and like sleep on the tray. I know I used to be able to do that.
Is it too old, or is it that plane seats are now this close together, so you can't contort your body to do that?
Yeah, it might be both, but yeah. So went over to Iffy's hotel to meet up so that we could head over to the Panera. I will say, Iffy Wadiway, a very good hugger. big, strong hug right off the bat. And I watched Iffy hug a lot of people this weekend. He's also, he gives a lot of uppies on his hugs. So like, you get a hug from Iffy, a good chance he will pick you fully into the air.
Love.
But yeah.
Excellent information for me to log right in the back of my brain.
Yeah, you can request as well, and he will then pick you up.
Custom Iffy hugs. New to the Dropout store. All donations going to PCRF. Listen, that auction would make as much money as the Fantasy High Minis would.
For sure, which I think ended up at $213,000 if someone did the math correct.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah, obviously, like, shout out to old Fig Faith, $12,555.55, the new reigning champion of Dimension 20 auctions, beating Calroy Cruller.
Good. Good.
Yeah, it was so exciting to see that happening. I was at PAX East when that was closing, so I literally just like went up to like a quiet spot and like made a video about it. And then someone was like, "Have you seen?" And I was like, "I've already posted a video." I was like, "You think I'm just gonna stop reporting because I'm super busy?" That was Friday. So yeah, Saturday we met up. We went to the Panera. We ate lunch. Got like onto Wi-Fi, although I don't. The Panera Wi-Fi was also down. It was a day. If he put together a bunch of slides, I helped. Like I showed him like the questions that I had gotten. We picked up some of the questions together. BDG went back to the hotel to take a nap because, of course, like
news.
Well deserved. And then. Yeah, and it was also raining all day on Saturday in Boston. Super, super fun. I went back to my hotel, changed, took a lift down to the convention center, met up with the three of them, or two of them, and then Iffy had another friend with him, Ira, who was hanging out with us. Then we walked around the convention floor. BDG full mask, and I think only 2 people had to ask to confirm that it was him of the probably 20 people that came up to tell him how much they loved him.
Wow.
Just like full mask. People still were walking up and being like, "I'm such a huge fan of your work."
That's awesome.
And yeah, so we went around. Iffy bought so many Magic the Gathering cards. He had played against one of the people who ended up on the panel. I think it was Annika who he played against. A commander deck, it means nothing to me. Anyway, he bought like 2 new commander decks, we were at the Magic the Gathering booth for a good amount of time where I just like chatted with Brian while people came up to take pictures with him because we were just like stationary there. It was a wild experience.
At what point did you as Jordon, or you as in the trio of you, know what the demand was for the panel? And can you explain for those that don't know just how much demand was waiting for this panel?
Yeah, so this is where I offer my apologies to folks, because if you're watching this, pretty good chance you didn't get in, because I will say, like, in my very professional moderator duties, I had gone to the room the day before and taken pictures of like the setup and the microphones and like talked to the audio folks. So like I was ready to go. Like I took this very seriously.
Producer Jordon was out and ready.
Yes. So the room sat like 750 people, which, in case you're guessing, is in fact not enough seats for folks. I would say, like, everyone seemed to be very excited about actually, generally speaking. But, like, I think had it just literally been BDG sitting silent for an hour, we could have filled a 1,000-person room. Boy, that convention loves him. A few people had messaged me about, like, when should we get in line? And I was like, I don't know. The room's, like, decent sized, so I have no idea. And our panel started at 4:30. And I was getting messages from people at 3:15 that the line was capped. They had started letting people line up at 3 o'clock, an hour and a half before the panel, and sometime in the next 15 minutes, 750 people got in line to sit inside. Like, people literally who got there an hour early were just told, like, we don't have room, go somewhere else, basically.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. If you're talking about it as a proof of concept of there is a huge demand for Dropout properties at conventions, I don't know how you could have a better, like, selling point than what happened at PAX East. Yeah, it was really wild to find out. Like, people were messaging me being like, hey, do you know how I can get in? And I was like, I don't. I'm sorry. Like, I maybe could have, like, if we were at, like, my 5th one of these or something, maybe I would feel comfortable going in and being like, hey, can I get some of my friends in? But, like, at the first one where I'm still hoping to prove that I should be here, I'm also not going to be like, could I get people in? But thankfully, yeah, I don't. No one seemed upset. They couldn't get in. People were bummed. But no one was like, how could you? Like, that kind of stuff. I will say they, like, have shepherded. I will say, you don't have to edit around that. I will say they shepherded us into a, like, separate room before the panel that was, like, you know, like, we went through the back to get in. Because there were obviously so many people in line. And PAX, the staff is called Enforcers, which, so good. And they really are. They made sure, like, people, like, when we afterwards there was, like, a little meet and greet that we did, and they made sure, like, people weren't just, like, walking up to talk to folks. Like, it was, like, they really, really incredible work from the staff all around. But one of the coordinators came up to Iffy and was like, why didn't you pick a bigger room? Because I guess Iffy was the one who was like, I think this size room will be good. And Iffy said that, I think it was his 10th birthday, he threw a birthday party and one person showed up. And that is his mindset for everything forever. Yeah, good lesson learned.
My heart just shattered into a million pieces. It's horrible.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was well before the panel, I knew we were not in trouble, but, like, that we had grossly underestimated how many people wanted to get in. At a video game conference. Again, though, BDG is a hell of a sell. But, yeah.
Absolutely. Maybe, you know, I think it also shows that this is a total personal opinion that I would love to hear your take on based on being there, but sometimes we in the PR space, in the streaming space, like, in this weird world that I occupy in, where I think about things like conventions and PR and shows and streaming and opportunities like this, it's so easy to be like, oh, it's a gaming conference, I'm actually a fit. And then you think about the audience of Dropout and the audience for Actually and the audience for PAX East, and you're like, oh, the Venn diagram is much more like a circle than it is two separate circles. Like, in fact, the audience is actually sharing a lot more than maybe we think it does. And then you add in the layer of, we don't have extreme visibility into how many people subscribe to Dropout. Like, the most visibility we've gotten is Sam's little press run at the top of 2024, where he gave us some indication of how much they had grown the year prior in the profit sharing. But we really don't see the scale of what's happening until moments like this, when it's like, well, a 750 person room felt like, you know, one seat on an airplane for how many people we could have filled. It could have been a main stage event.
For sure, easy main stage, and I think they probably still would have been turning people away based on, like, how quickly that line capped. I mean, I think, you know, knowing Dropout is, like, somewhere in the 6 figures in terms of, like, subscribers. I think mid to upper, it sounds like, from what Sam has said. But yeah, like, it in retrospect, certainly it makes sense that you're like, of course, like, the super video game nerds also love the game show that is, like, pedantic corrections, often about video games. And, you know, of course there is, like, a huge crossover there. But yeah, I mean, I think, you know, same thing. I'm much more on Iffy's side of, like, who knows what, like, this draw will be. at any convention, let alone at, like specifically a gaming convention.
And Sam, if you're not sending your people to do this kind of thing, you don't actually have proof points to build off of.
Yeah.
So if he really did take a stab in the dark, like, I don't have proof points for how many people show up for actually panels at PAX East. Like, that's, if he was going through a whole new territory designing and making this thing happen, he was like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to just commit to it. We'll start with this and see how it goes and then build from there. Like, now there's a definitive stake in the sand of like, oh, shit. We could have asked for 3 times the space, potentially. We could have, like, pitched this as, like, a way bigger main stage, high production thing. Like, we could have done all these different things with it. So, now, Sam, you have one definitive little point that you can build off of. So, shout out to Iffy for driving that train to, like, get to this point. Now the fun begins of iteration and planning even more fun things. This is going to be a fun cut later. I'm going to be like, remember when you took 5,000 minutes to find one photo, Liz? I really want to talk about this slide that appeared. So you did mention off the top that when you guys were in Panera, you were like putting some things together. I'm assuming that this slide with all of your designated facts that a room of 750 people should know about you was made in that Panera?
It was finished in the Panera. It was mostly written already by the time I saw this. I had sent Iffy a bio in case like PAX East needed it for like speaker stuff, and that picture that you can see there. And so like when I got there, I believe everything but the 60% of Abria's TikToks in 2023 was on there, because while we were hanging out at the Panera, Brian asked me basically like, how did this happen? And I was like, honestly, not really sure, but I'll give you the like short version of it. And it's like ran through like how my weird life has changed. Because of course, Brian very famously not on TikTok. He made a whole song about it. And so yeah, I mean, I think Iffy also didn't really know. And so like I had said like, the Bros End, the bear, Polly the bear, and Abria stitching my TikTok to yell at me for not making a like proper response video was like really what catapulted me into this circle. And I was like, it's really funny. Like she made 3 TikToks last year, and 2 of them were her dunking on me. And so then Iffy added that last line of 60% of Abria's TikToks. It's a good stat. It is. I think it's technically 66%, right? Because it's 2/3.
Actually, it's 66% of Abria's TikToks in 2023. Yeah. Did I do that right? Oh, man.
I think so.
Did I just do an actually? There we go. Not us, actually in Iffy on his own actually panel. Yeah. But no, it would be 66% for sure. I also really like how specific everything is, and then it just says fax haver.
Yeah, I'm not 100% what that meant. It was there already, and I was just like, all right. I think, like, if he likes what I post on TikTok, presumably that isn't just about Dropout. My periodic, like, rants about other things, I guess.
You are a fax haver. It's an accurate title.
Yeah. I bet I know what it is. It's that I do know secrets about things that are happening at Dropout that I cannot share. That is probably the fax haver of like, Jordon knows facts that he isn't telling people. Because we talked a bit about that. I bet that's what that is. My favorite particular bullet though is PhD dropout, because it implies that I have a doctorate in Dropout, when in fact I am a PhD dropout, which I mean feels very on brand for like the whole company like idea. But yes, that is actually what PhD dropout means. But yeah, I should just start going by Dr. Dropout. That should be the whole thing that I do, right? Like,
did we just rebrand your whole account to Dr. Dropout? Is that what's gonna happen? I'll have to go change the last 5 episodes that we've done together, but I'm willing to do it. I think it'll comment if you think that. Actually, you know what else you could do? You could do Dr. Opt-out.
That's true,
like
yeah.
Pull the, I mean, lots of options. Get in the comments about what Jordon's rebrand
Dr.
should be.
Acula and Dr. Op-Out, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. It's excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, get in the comments. Let us know.
I feel like I'm about to turn into that, good God, this is an obscure reference. The guy that would scream on late night television about, you're not going to know this at all, because I bet they didn't have this in Canada. He was in like a full money suit. Oh, did he? I thought they were
exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, great.
If there was an actually only about late night TV, I would be your number one contestant. Yes, I'm with you.
I didn't know if that was like a thing that crossed the border, because it feels like a very much American scam. Of like, he is like, I can save you money by doing these things. Anyway, that guy's whole life is that. I've seen his car in DC. I've seen him in DC. He wears that outfit out. Like, his car is painted in all of that nonsense. Like, it's just, that's who he is. Yeah.
So you're about to become that for Dropout. Is that what
you're
saying?
Yeah, I'm that for Dropout.
Great.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I am so excited to see your brand develop over. We're entering Q2 if you want to get real corporate about this. So we've started the Q1 unofficial Dropout Reporter. We literally, last week of Q1, we have official Dropout Reporter on screen at PAX East. Now we're going into full car brand suit mode. I love it. Hilarious. I will say, to double back to the PhD point, for everyone watching, I did fully DM Jordon thinking that the joke was PhD Dropout, like, ha ha, and Jordon was like, no, that is not what it is.
Yeah, in my bio, I say, like, Jordon Brown is a PhD dropout, and then, like, goes on to, like, talk about other stuff, because, look, you gotta make fun of the 6 figures of debt you racked up to not get a degree in something, or you'll cry. So I just really lean into that brand, and it turns out it's way funnier than I thought it was.
You've cultivated something out of it. I really commend you for it. And I will also shout out to Annie Murphs, who is the one that tweeted about this. Who still doesn't think he's at least semi-famous. Like, are you kidding? If he had a PowerPoint slide for him.
I know Annie. We have played D&D together, and she was obviously there and was in line, thankfully well in advance. And so, like, I went out to say hi, hugged her, and then, like, right after I hugged her, someone asked me for an autograph, which is wild. So yes, this is well-deserved ribbing that I still don't understand it.
Someday, when you are so official and so famous, there's going to be a very small select group of people that were at this PAX East panel that have a photo of Jordon Brown, Iffy, and BDG
in full
all
suit,
in one. Yeah. And they're going to be like, this is the photo that made $1 million. Like, you know, when people go back on their convention photos, they're like, I can't believe I only paid this much money to get a photo with this person. You've now entered that lore, my friend. You've done it.
Yeah.
So funny. So are you... Like, post-panel, how happy were you? Like, what was the vibe when you wrapped this thing?
So, it was super good. I got one huge laugh in, which is all I really cared about. Like, the game went pretty smoothly. They struggled through a lot of the questions, as, you know, you want to do. And, you know, we didn't really have a chance to, like, do, like, banter between questions because it just went so fast. And then, like, Q&A was great. I was, like, shout out to the PAX East crowd before they as they were setting up the microphones. I didn't lay down the law, but I made a strongly worded request if there were 700 plus people in the room that we had 13 minutes to get through Q&A. Please ask short questions. And every person did. So we burned through, I would say, like, 20 questions. Like, we went so fast through questions, especially like the last like 45 seconds. They just like bounce back and forth so fast.
That's amazing.
But yeah, afterward, like a bunch of people like didn't like rush the stage, but like obviously came up because they wanted to talk to Iffy and BDG, and like so they were like, let's move everyone into the hallway. Again, shout out to the staff. They organized everyone in one of the, like, because it's a convention center, so it has those weird, oh, here's a spot where just, like, the walls go out for no reason, and there's just, like, a cube here where, like, you could hang out. And so 60 people went and got in line to like meet Iffy and BDG. I stayed in full producer mode to make sure that BDG knew like what time it was, because he had another panel at 7:30.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how anticipatory were you that Iffy was going to force you to dance to house music for the entire night after this panel ended?
None of us knew that was going to happen. So 1, Iffy posted on Instagram and Twitter what looked to be very official, like PAX East thing, where he had just photoshopped the, like, I think our panel listing and just like put like, come to the chemist something cocktail bar. And it absolutely was going to be like a chill, drink, like fun, cool cocktails kind of night. And I got there early because I was so hungry, and they had a full menu, and I was like, great, I'm just going to go that way. Like, because I was looking at because it was raining and gross out, so I didn't want to have to be like bouncing between places. So I just like went to do that, and like I walked in, and they're like, how many? And I was like, well, just one, but one other person is joining me. And they're like, okay, we're pulling all of the tables right now because a DJ is coming in. And I was like, oh, okay. And they're like, you can sit at the bar. And I was like, great. And so like I went to the bar, and yeah, fully like Iffy shows up, a like house music DJ has set up in the corner. They are charging a cover at the door, so Iffy covers everybody's cover, because he had invited people, because he made it literally in the video was like, even if you don't have a PAX East badge, come down to this thing. And then like it was going to cost money to get in, so he was like, he posted like, tell him you're with Iffy at the door. Shout out to Iffy, and hopefully getting reimbursed for that. But next morning at like 5:45 when my alarm went off so I could get to the airport to catch my flight home, I was not regretful, just very very slow to get up, because dancing for an hour and a half is too long at 40 years old. Lost the suit jacket immediately, because I was still in full suit, because I was like, we're not gonna change, I look great. I'm not gonna throw on a t-shirt now. And then didn't expect dance party.
Did not expect dance party to be the end of your PAX East journey.
Yeah.
I think that's so funny. Listen, as someone that had an extremely similar chain of event moderation, like work to after party to 4:45 a.m. wake up call, I feel it on a spiritual level. Level. I had one block to walk, and it felt like the entire length of Canada in the heels I was wearing. So I feel you, my friend.
Yeah. Thankfully, I was in my traveling Brooks shoes, not my stage shoes, but they're still very comfortable. So walking
Brooks
wasn't the issue.
Shout out,
but,
they are unbeatable. Brooks sneakers, like that is,
just
if you know.
Sponsor me, please.
Sponsor the Dropout Drop-In, Brooks. So
also,
funny.
put those shoes back on your website so that I can continue to buy them for the rest of my life.
That is a great conversation, though. What is with all these brands stealing the game changer color palette and shape for their products? So we had the water bottle, we have the shoes.
Also, Sam? You can't buy the water bottle either. Odwalla, whatever your company is, make better decisions. Let me buy things from you.
Jordon, I'm so happy for you. Shout out Iffy and BDG for making a great choice and getting Jordon to come moderate. And I hope that everyone who's watching this, if you didn't have a chance to go to the panel, this gives you a little taste of what it's like to put this thing together and make it happen. Shout out to Sam. Make more of this happen, my guy. This is not an ask. This is actually a demand, because I think it would be a really great PR opportunity, and you've got 2 people ready to roll to help you make it happen. But in all honesty, I'm just so happy for all of you guys. What an awesome opportunity. And you kept the secret for so long, so to have it be that successful on the other side. Little claps.
Yes, sir. Come on, everybody. It was definitely, that was also one of the things where I was like, we're announcing this a week out. What if no one wants to go? Turns out that was not an issue. Didn't matter that Saturday passes were long sold out before this show, the panel on Saturday got announced. People were in.
People were in. Now you know. So next time, get your passes early if you think Dropout might be in the university. You never know where they're going to pop up. And we'll be back next week on the Dropout Drop-In to continue breaking down everything happening with Dropout. Thanks for listening to this very special Off the Rails episode where we just talked about PAX East and all the cool stuff happening to bring Dropout closer to your door. See you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Cut. That's where I'll